Good.
Oh, and Mia's here. Great, now we can start. Okay. We were just waiting for...
It's recording, so you can start.
Okay. Welcome everybody. We're gonna do stand-up. I'm gonna take it today just because David's got some kitchen noise going on. Okay, so I can't really recall how we do it now. Oh, and Quentin's got a hot dog.
We just go around.
Just go around and see where everyone's at. Maybe what I'll do is I'll just start. Lance and I have done informal testing, and Quentin, I saw that you put a message up about testing. So I kind of wanted to maybe share, if we have time at the end of the half hour, I wanted to share how we were doing it, and then maybe we can just compare notes and see how you wanted to do it for the students, because obviously time constraints, we need to be time conscious of how long it's going to take to test things and how long it's going to be until we are comfortable with stuff that we want to release. So that's where we're at. Otherwise, the tests have passed, so I think we're ready to send it out to the court, and maybe release it in parallel online, and then kind of either start on a new form or kind of maybe just work post MVP on the civil action cover sheet. So that's where we're at. Next on my screen is Michelle.
Oh, geez. I did not expect that.
Luke and Anna, where are you guys at?
So I think, Luke, you worked on it a little bit this week, right?
Yeah, but you want to bring up your thing first, because I think that's more pressing.
Okay, so I did a little bit more research into what is actually involved in changing your name in Massachusetts, which I should have done earlier, because I should have known from the last time I did this that it's more complicated than our cute little 2-page form makes it seem like. So there could be up to 5 forms that someone would need to submit to actually do the process. It looks like some of them we have in progress, and those would include the affidavit disclosing care and custody proceedings and an affidavit of indigency. But then there's another one, the court activity record information and warrant management system release request form that has to be submitted at the same time.
You're only doing name change for an adult, right?
Yeah, correct. And this is only for adults.
Care and custody affidavit should never have to be done then.
It does have to be done, because if a parent is changing their name and they have an active custody order, the court has to know that they're changing their name so that custody order doesn't get messed up.
That's interesting.
That's my understanding of the reason behind it. And that's how it works in DC as well.
I haven't done a lot of name changes, but I've never done a care and custody affidavit with it. But that might well be the law, and I've just never been called out on it.
That's what the court rule says. So maybe they don't enforce it. But the rule that I was looking at says that even for adult name changes.
It makes sense, right? It makes sense that you would need to do that, but whether it's done in practice in Massachusetts would be interesting. Kate, is there any chance that you would know of somebody who might be able to confirm how it's actually done in practice in regards to the care and custody?
I'm gonna look in the Mass Legal Services guidebook that has a chapter on name changes.
Yeah.
And my coworker wrote that chapter, so I'll ask her if I need to.
Okay. Oh, perfect. Thank you.
And I just put in the chat what the thing that I was looking at.
Do you have to do a carry? Because can't the court look that up?
You have to do a form authorizing the carry.
Oh,
and I thought I put that in there. I put that in there. Is there a different one too?
I think one of my students is going to do the carry. I think.
Oh,
what's a carry?
It's court activity something. It's
Anna
a criminal.
Just named it. Yeah.
It shows your criminal record plus restraining orders.
No one has their name next to it, so I think I'm wrong about that. That doesn't look like someone's claimed it. But keep in mind, one of our projects that Caroline and I worked on, we were the scope started out being someone took money out of my account. That's too big a scope. We can limit the use of the form but to the things that can be done on the form. and we just have to provide links to more information sometimes. So if we help them with this one discrete piece, that may or may not be like a really meaningful part of the process for them, but we have to start somewhere. So
Okay.
I think what's important to note is kind of like what I'm thinking about is, I don't know if anyone else would recall quite specifically, but the form that Aubrey did with the, was it Aubrey about getting the marriage
Delay, marriage
without delay.
without delay, yeah.
With that one, there was a lot of, the reason I remember was Aubrey because she always used to make the names from Friends, Rachel and Ross, when we were doing the tests. But yeah, basically with that one is that there was a lot more than just filing that form. So there was a lot more that the user had to do outside of that. So I'm just thinking if, you know, like as Quentin says, we can use this form as one little piece of the puzzle, but then give instructions as to, it's very disconcerting what David likes to speak. So we can give instructions then, right?
Right. So sort of in your intro page, it's before you go any further, make sure you have done X, Y, Z. That way you don't have to include it or link to it in the middle of the flow.
And what I'll do is, guys, I'll actually just drop you that repo so that you can have a look at that interview and see how they handled that. Because that one I just recall had a lot of extra things that you had to do, especially outside of the courts, for instance. You had to like go to City Hall and all that kind of stuff. So it's quite a nice example
of how
they
as well.
Oh, you also have to go to City Hall on this one?
You don't have to go to City Hall, but depending on the user's circumstances, they have to mail notices to various potentially interested parties who might want to know about them getting a name change. For example, if they have a criminal case,
of course,
for which they're on probation, they have to mail notices to a couple different people.
And then insolvency, right? Stuff where people are trying to change their names, like to avoid those kind of things. Okay, perfect. Well, what I'll do is, sorry,
I was just saying, looking at the rule, I think it's only required for minors. If Massachusetts doesn't really do indentation, which is annoying, but it's the part that says the care and custody is a sub paragraph to a paragraph that says if seeking to change the name of a minor.
Okay.
So I think we don't have to incorporate that piece of it.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll send you guys the repo. You can see how they dealt with the kind of external or the other instructions. And what I would recommend is you just actually just copy that repo link and pull it into your playground and then run the interview to see how they kind of dealt with that. And then you can see the code as well. Okay, that was the first part. Luke, what's up with you?
Yes, so I was just doing some coding in DocAssemble and it was going well, but I kind of like would constantly run into problems because I don't have experience in DocAssemble. So what I would do is I would just go and look at other forms that were on different repos, but I was wondering if there's any like one or two forms that are really in a good spot so that if I look at them and I'm like, okay, this is how stylistically it should be done. Because in a couple places I found different ways I could do certain things. I'm like, well, I don't know exactly what we kind of want to do. Also,
I would always say Quentin's ones. I don't know. And Mia's team did a really good job on that, on their form as well.
Really like this question.
Yeah, me too. I like it as well. It's basically like looking for a precedent, right? You're looking for one that you can use as like a empirical source of this is how it should be done. I kind of always go to the TRO. What other ones do you guys look at?
What do you mean?
I think that's good. Yeah.
The TRO.
What is the TRO?
It's short.
I'm going to drop you a link now on your Slack.
Okay.
But it is a very good.
I mean, I was also using DocAssembly, like whatever.
Oh, you want outside of the project or?
No, like in the project. But I was using like the DocAssemble website for
the documentation.
The documentation is dense, right? So that's a whole
skill in
itself. Trying to know what to look for and how to find it. And Michelle is very good in kind of like taking you through the kind of initial stages of how do you find stuff. And so if you ever stuck with that, I'm sure you can reach out to her. Anna's already got the researching down from law, right, Anna? So yeah, you're fine. but yeah, it is. It's very dense. But you know, our thing here is like, don't struggle for more than 20 minutes.
Yep.
And I'm the worst at that because I'm like, I know that I can get this.
Being a little bit more curated, I just dropped in the chat, which covers like just specific topics
Okay.
in a more focused way than the documentation, which is like a list of features and how they work. So that could be helpful too. And
Yeah.
I'm open to like suggestions about things that should be out of there or that aren't.
And then I have just one like specific question, because I mean, like, obviously I can find most of the stuff on my own to ask in a message, but so for some of the stuff, there are like predetermined questions, like for the name or for like the base address. But is there any way that we can go in and like override what some of the
Yeah.
text is on that?
There is.
Okay, great.
So what you do, maybe someone else can correct me if I'm wrong, is you open up the basic questions. So what I do is I open up a new like playground thing, and then open up the basic questions, and then search for that question. And you should be able to see it from at least the page ID. And then you copy that question, and you put it into your interview, and you change how you want it to be.
Okay.
And so far, I haven't had any problems doing that. I just did it now under the fitness question.
We do encourage people to think carefully about how much they want to customize, how important it is, because if you use the one that is in basic questions, those are the ones that are going to be updated and translated, and
improved
features will be added to them. So if you make your own custom one, it will be frozen in time. So if you don't, if it's just like, it would be nicer if it was, then make an issue and make a feature request or a change request, and then we can improve everybody's interviews. It's just if your interview has something specific, then that the basic questions can't cover, right?
Well, maybe I'll make an issue, because the thing is, it's like the address asks for the address, and the wording on the base address is like, where would you like the court to mail stuff to you? But the form that I have is like, there's mailing, there's like address, and then mailing address if different. So
so you need a residential address as well as a mail. So you could use the where would you like it to send, but then you also want a home address.
Yeah.
And you could do it in that order.
I could switch it around. So use the base one as the mailing address. That's interesting. That might be a good idea. A good work.
Then you've got the language, and then you've got
Yeah, okay. That's a really good suggestion. I'll try that.
You might also be a good person to experiment with our ideas about how to make it easier to customize questions, since you have a coding background, and we're going to try out some kind of technical stuff to make it easier to do. And our goal is to make that really easy. But I think, in your case, you want to collect 2 different addresses. So, but maybe we should take out the court, where the court's going to send you stuff, out of that question anyway, because it might be really too specific to use for the forms we're doing now.
Okay.
I think it seemed like a really good, what forms we're doing now. It just seemed like a really useful way to point people there, but maybe that language is something we can make customizable.
I mean, you could have your mailing address, couldn't you? And then that's not, I mean, the court's going to use your mailing address, but other people could use your mailing address too. So if you wanted to use a mailing address.
Okay.
And maybe we could edit that form so it always has a place to ask for a different address. The problem is some forms may not have a place to list that other address.
Okay.
So a couple of good points that are raised by that. But I think maybe we should try to work on, we have a different idea for customizing questions, and it sounds like this is a good time to start working on it.
Okay.
Yeah, because the question that we've changed, for example, is we had to add conditional language into our attorney and user questions. And that would have been, that's not something that's specific, that we could have perhaps tried to customize that, but that's a conversation for a later stage. I'm just aware of the time. Okay, would you say that that's covered your kind of pressing questions, Luke and Anna?
Yeah, I think so.
And how's it going on the actual development side?
It's good. It's good. I was working on it today, and I think having a good template to like refer to and work off of, and also the resource Quentin shared with me will speed up my my development for the form. It's like there's not really a huge amount of more things that need to be fixed. It's just like a couple things.
It's always, what's it, like that last 20%?
Yeah.
That's what's the get ya. Okay, cool. I'm excited to see what you guys have done.
And before we move on, did we just decide that we're going to go up to 6 names? So like use list collect and like cap it at like 6?
You can't cap list collect.
You can't cap list collect?
But we can ask people how many names do you have to add, and then limit them to adding 6 if you use the target number way of collecting a list.
Okay.
Well, we could just limit it to 6, right? And then people just won't be able to add any more than 6. We can say at the top, you can have a maximum of 6, which does or doesn't include your birth name. I don't know, but what?
And then not prevent them from entering more than 6, but just tell them that's the limit.
No. Like, why do we have to ask them the number? Just, put the limit in there to begin with. Right?
Well, because if you don't ask them the number, they keep asking the question. If you set it to 6, then it says this is the 3rd name, this is the 4th name, this is the 5th name.
Yeah, so I'm saying
you don't
set it
have
to 6 without asking them.
What? But if you set it to 6 without asking them, then they get asked 6 times. They don't get asked 3 times if they only have 3 names.
That's a shame. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, no, it's just to get around the technical limit. Like list collect seems like it would be a good interface, but you can't use it in the way we described to limit the number.
Sure.
Okay, so again, channel is always open. You guys are welcome to ask questions. We're really excited to have you on the team, and hopefully you'll be able to stick around for Casual Friday, which is in 10 minutes. We've got to go through the rest of the team. Okay, guys, let's go. Next on my screen is Caroline.
I want to make an announcement.
Okay.
One, lunch is finished here, so everyone's out of the kitchen. 2, I'm about to hit send on a link to the general. I already did wrong.
Use your words, David.
Use your words, David.
Okay. Here's my words.
Okay.
I'm about to send a link to the General Assembly Line Slack, and just want to draw people's attention to it, that Quentin and I are hiring. And if you know a Python developer who's looking for a job, there's an application there. So I'm just
David, I've already been hired. You know this.
Sorry. Okay, you can you're doing such a great job. Just continue on. I can be quiet now.
So if you are a Python developer and you're looking for a job and you're on this call, we love.
You might want to think about applying.
Yeah, David gives great recommendations. If you don't know if you can use that in your job application, but yeah. Okay, cool. Right, thank you for that, David. That's a very great announcement. So Caroline, over to you.
Okay, so 209A affidavit, I've folded the new language and the new behavior and everything into the big interview, but I'm not pushing it because I did a little interview just too close to this meeting to ask Kate to go through it and make sure we've got the language right and everything. And the behavior right. And I do have a weird coding block. I mean, I'm having a problem because I know how it's supposed to work and it's not working the way I think it's supposed to work, and I can't understand why. So it's a show if, I think, actually, and I can't get off the page, and I have an idea about what the issue is, but I'm not sure. But it might be irrelevant because Kate might decide that we need to do it anyway.
So is the action point that you're going to get Kate to have a look at the interview first, and then we can go from there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And if you're still stuck, Caroline, don't be afraid to reach out. Oh,
20
I know I said
minutes, Caroline. You know the rule.
It's a theoretical thing, so if I don't want to take anybody's time if we don't need it.
Okay, so the action point is you're gonna go to Kate. Kate's gonna have a look at the interview, and then if it's needed, then we can address that issue, right?
Yeah, I've done my 20 minutes, so I'll be asking as soon as when she
Oh,
wakes up.
Kate
And
first.
she's already done her action point of sending it to me.
Oh,
It's
there-
my
see,
action
you
point
go.
now of looking at it.
The action rests with Kate. Let the
If the
record
answer
Are you
reflect.
around this
Reach out to me.
afternoon?
Who, me?
I have a couple meetings starting at yeah. No, I guess not really. 'Cause
Not really.
we have, yeah, I have
So
a
I
meeting.
have the other issue that has nothing to do with us that I really need help with.
Okay. Yeah, I should have done it in the morning. Sorry, I should have carved out some time.
Okay, it's all right. It's okay.
Okay. Anything else from you, Caroline? Oh, Kate's cat. So
I
cute.
think that's it.
Okay. Mia is next on my screen. How's it going, Mia? I miss you.
I miss you all too. I'm just here to kind of have fun until because I have to go at 1, so I just wanted to pop in and say hey.
Oh no. You know that
It's nice to see you.
But
How's your
Kate, that
Friday?
cat, yeah, that cat looks like it would be able to do a pirate photo with you. So I hope to.
Oh, guys, when I was
I'll keep
working
him
last
around.
week and Mia was sending me such fun photos, I was really getting such FOMO. So I'm excited. Mia, I'm so big that you can't make this call now. This is super sad, but next week. Okay. Kate, we know one of your action points.
That's my only action point right now.
Okay. And real work, is it keeping you busy?
Oh yeah. Always.
Always. Okay. Quentin.
So I've just been we're going to introduce a new crop of students, hopefully. I think this is still all the plan on Monday or Tuesday, sorry. Yeah, do like a quick orientation. So if people have ideas for what we should do in that time, just like a 30-minute chunk, to let people who are doing assembly line stuff for their final class project and who might know very little otherwise about the assembly line, what would be the 30 minutes of content you would give them to help them get started and feel like I know what to do for my next thing so that I can work towards delivering my final project.
It may involve some Trello boards that you may have not.
Yeah.
I don't think we can see them all.
No, I don't think so yet. We'll have to assign those authorities over to you.
And so part of that was doing the testing plan, doing the maturity model, those kind of fit into that too, to help students know what are we trying to produce, how are we going to test it.
Okay.
But if there are other getting started things, that's another thing I'm going to try to look at is what the existing getting started content we have is and organizing it so there's more of a one-stop shop for that for people. But also thinking through what are things we should cover live.
That's beneficial for people to see in action, basically.
Yeah, maybe
ask
even
questions.
live, but yeah, definitely to let people ask questions about stuff.
Do you have a time for that answer right now?
No.
You said you're doing it on Monday morning?
Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock.
Monday's a holiday here, Maeve.
What holiday is it?
At least in Massachusetts. I don't know if it's a holiday across the country.
What's the holiday?
Columbus Day.
It's Columbus Day.
Didn't we? The thing is, I'm sure we changed the name for that.
It's Indigenous Peoples Day.
It is. I can't find
I
it
don't
anywhere.
think the state has. I don't think the state has changed it.
Oh.
Different municipalities have.
In towns.
It's an interesting historical accident. Columbus Day was a gift to the Italian American community, but unfortunately they chose a really bad Italian to
celebrate.
Honor.
Yeah.
So it shows Mia, right? That Italian heritage, right? Google Bernardi Day. Okay, so Monday's a holiday, noted. Tuesday, 10 o'clock, you are meeting with the new students. So we'll have some stuff before then that I think would be useful to ask, that they might have questions to ask live about.
Is that what you just posted? That is that the question you just posted in Slack, Quentin, or is that something different?
The testing thing.
The testing thing is in Slack, yeah. So
but you haven't posted this question in Slack.
I didn't. I can put it as a thread so people can put suggestions. That's a good idea.
That's a good idea, yeah, actually, please. And also might be a good idea for Luke and Anna who still have questions to just put those in there. Yeah. pretty helpful.
Yeah, I'll make it an open call for anyone who wants to can join these meetings. And we probably will do at least one more to try to capture most of the people in our 2 classes.
Oh, and I meant to, I'll update Mia. We're meeting on Wednesday.
Hey, yep.
I met with Eleni this week, who's going to jump back on the project, and she's really excited to be back. And so Mia who's already kind of dealt with one of the appeals court forms, is going to take Eleni, Aubrey, and myself through that on Wednesday at 9. Yeah. So we'll record it, obviously. But that's another update that I forgot to put on. So hopefully we'll get some progress on the appeals court.
Quentin, did you get my email when I emailed you and Amy together about?
Oh, I did get the email, and then I hadn't tried to resend Amy.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but
No, I figured maybe putting you on the same thread would, I don't know, somehow stop the technical issues when emailing her.
Yeah, I'll give it a try. I'll try writing back and see if it works.
Bye, Mia. Miss you already.
Bye, Mia.
David, and then Lily, and then it's time for our snap camera filters. David, what's up?
The announcement was just the job thing. We're still doing stuff with the appeals court. Noise is mostly abated. It's just they always happen when I'm here.
Okay, and then Lily, I feel like I haven't talked to anyone in ages, but how's it going on your side?
Hi, I just want to make good to see you, Maeve. I missed your smile.
Stop it! You said that to all the girls, Lily.
All right, just a quick comment. I really like what Quentin did to the 3-part state code, and I love the move that you combine the py and js into one file that reduce the dependencies and also open up the gate to create a sub class. So I love it. I'm just wondering if there's any need to add another subclass for future dates.
Oh, interesting idea. Yeah, I don't know well, one thing I was wondering is if we got feedback from the appeals court today and it was interesting. They must be using Internet Explorer because they gave feedback on the date input and the time input and said, oh, it doesn't tell you how to validate it, which is true only in Internet Explorer. Every other browser helps you enter the input correctly. But that's the appeals court, and these are people who are relatively, technical. I wonder if we should override the default date input for every date to be something that's usable, and maybe also for every time. Something like what Jonathan sent, where it was just, I don't know, if that would be a calendar input.
So like Lily's input, 3 field.
Maybe make it the default for everyone, where you always type in the month and day potentially too. Yeah. Which would mean.
Why do we have it so that you punch in you actually type in the month and day instead of having a drop down? I mean, not the month and day. Wait, is it I can't remember now.
Oh, the day and year.
Day and year. Uh-huh.
Yeah. That was just discovered through doing internet research to see what people thought was the best type of date input.
Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting.
So I found a number of resources that talked about why that was a good way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
They may not be as valid if we think more people are using phones than are using.
Well, that's what I was thinking, the phone issue.
Caroline,
but it's worth doing more research to figure that out, to see if that consensus is different, if it's it's all smartphone first.
Sure.
But I mean, that's the data from, at least from MLRI, isn't it, Caroline, that the majority is on phones?
Oh, yeah. And I'm sure that, sorry?
No, I was just going to say, I think the real issue I always thought of was the date. So, because we were especially using it to do birth dates. And so if you have to go back many years for the year, that was always the big one.
Yeah.
I think what Caroline is saying, though, is make all of the fields drop downs instead. Like having it be day, you choose from one. And
I'm just saying It gets hard when you get older to do the drop down for the year and go all the way back into the
Oh, not
70s.
for me.
Some people are, so you're more spry with your scrolling than I am.
Joke. So no, but what I'm saying, I guess the thing is that Quentin, you've got research that shows it, but I'm not sure if the research is on phones. So that's, and I wasn't pushing it. I was just, I am pushing whatever's better on a phone, but I don't know what's better on a phone for that. And I think it's something we should explore.
I think that's a good idea. Yeah. I think the main thing is like the calendar input was just really horrible for people entering birth dates, and we want something a little better. But.
And also you solved the field label, which was very nice. That made a really big difference. That was very good.
Caroline's talking about now. Yeah. You just mean having a label there that went in front of the date, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I realized I left Michelle off my list of people who need to speak. Michelle, last but not least. Lily, is there anything else that you need to bring up on this meeting?
No, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay. Michelle.
Hello. So I've made my pull request for the multi-user signature on the notice of limited appearances. Quentin and I talked about possible abstractions, but I think I understood that we should do more experimentation with copying and pasting before we head towards abstractions. So that's what we're going with. The testing stuff, depending on when the testing stuff is starting, I could aim to ramp up development of the automated testing framework so that if people have tests, they just won't run every time, right? Non-randomized tests. The randomized tests is more complex, and Quentin, you and I will have to have a conversation about that. So mainly because of show ifs and stuff like that. So anything else?
Well, I didn't finish, but you probably want to chime in on this. The interview that really kind of provoked this multi-signature feature is this emergency non-essential eviction. So basically, we have a moratorium in Massachusetts that protects people from being evicted, which is expiring October 17th. So we were trying to get it out so at least people could use it before the moratorium expired. However, when it expires, there's also a national moratorium, and landlords can evict tenants for the same essential if they qualify for the CDC moratorium, and Quentin's done an interview for that declaration. If they qualify for that, landlords can evict people if they fall into certain categories, those same categories, which were the essential eviction. So basically, if they're breaking the law, or they're breaking their lease, or they're, I can't remember, it's like 5 things. So without too much work, I think that Mariah and Michelle, because she said you helped her, right? But Mariah's going to be able to tweak that non-essential eviction moratorium, which we thought would only be good for a couple of weeks once we got it up, to last until December 31st to protect tenants who would be evicted, whose landlords would take them to court saying it was an emergency eviction. I'm not making myself at all clear for people who don't understand this, but the point is that this one interview that we put a lot of work into and would be live for a couple of weeks actually is going to be very useful going into till the end of December.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear.
That would be cool. Yeah. That's awesome, Caroline. All Mariah said was, I want to copy the repo. I said, okay. So we did that. I want to copy the code. All right, it's done. Good.
Yeah, so I think she's going to update it because it's almost identical. It just needs a little bit of language changing. So, and then what she'll do is I don't think she's going to incorporate the CDC moratorium interview. She'll just tell people to go do the CDC moratorium. I think that's what she's going to do.
Sure.
So,
I mean, we could put it on, if it's a different form, it's a different form, and people shouldn't be confused between the two, but we could put it on a different URL.
It's a little bit, yeah. I mean, it's substantively, it's not the same as the CDC declaration, but
So there we
yeah,
go.
because it will mean is you should have already given your landlord the CDC declaration, and then they're going to try and take you to court, and then you file this motion to evict, and hopefully motion to dismiss, and hopefully you'll have already, if you haven't, we'll send people to the CDC declaration, and they can give that to their landlord. But that
Excellent.
One little thing to add is I know, like, actually, I just got asked by Zoe, my old boss at GBLS, if I would automate a motion to dismiss in MAID. So I don't know if she wants to think about like how, if it fits in there too. It's great as a standalone tool as well, I think.
Yeah. The other thing I was wondering about with the CDC declaration, I know we are using the approved form, but New Hampshire adapted that, and they've added the warning to the landlords, and they've put it at the bottom of the form. There's room for it. I don't know if you guys want to think about doing that so that when you do give your landlord the declaration, they also see the consequences of violating the order.
I like that.
Sounds good to me. I mean, from what I remember, there is no requirement you use the official form. The official form is just
There's no requirement. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because in the order, they just, it's very, whatever it is, Courier New. They just, and in fact, I just saw somebody else has done a shortened version of it, which is like a text file. I mean, the thing that's nice about the approved form is it has a heading at the top, so it looks a little bit more intimidating and official. New Hampshire didn't take the approved stuff off. I suggested that maybe they might want to do that, but they weren't interested. That's on them.
We'll see. We'll see if they feel okay about it. But yeah. By the way, I was just looking at the stats, and more than like almost 2,500 people have filled it out.
That's incredible.
Wow. That's amazing.
I'm always like, yes, I'm so happy about that, but I'm also like, oh, that really sucks that that many people have. You know what I mean? It's like,
oh, I know.
It's this weird, but that's really cool. That's cool data. I just want to, Michelle, is there anything
I think
else?
I'm done.
Okay. Are we gonna stop recording? It's time for fun.
It might be time for casual time.
I have a question about the you're saying 2,000. You don't have to record this. I'm just curious.
No, it's not recording. It's still recording.
Of the 2,005 people, or not people, but uses of that, can you identify what states they're from?
Yes, I can. Yeah, and I realize I have to make this form work better. So that was the number one reason why I built the stats. I was like, where are people using it?
Yeah.
Tennessee, number one.
Where was it?
Tennessee, Virginia, each have like around 160 people have used it.
Tennessee and Virginia.
South Carolina, 190. Iowa, 137 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
I bet part of that has to do with law help people in those states promoting it.
Yeah, if you think about how people learn to use a tool like this, I'd be really interested to see the network effect that's going on there, because probably you tell your friend and 10 other people, and then it's like really random until we get to whole saturation of the whole country. It's kind of, you see
everybody who rents.
Where it's like the COVID. It's like an epidemiological
right.
The contact
tracing. Iris had a link to this. Interview.
Now we got to start talking about the R not of our applications.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop recording.